In the school of the Spirit, there is a training on response. How to respond to life's challenges. How to respond to unfavorable circumstances. You see, in school, there are people who are called masters in business administration. I'm privileged to have a master's in business administration. There are people who are called masters in engineering. There are people who are called masters in law. You can be a master in the subject of peace. You can get better in your response. You can learn to govern your emotions. You can become more fluent in the language of faith. That even in tough circumstances, your conviction, your response remains unshaken, unperturbed. Let me tell you something. One of the most powerful things in the entire earthly ministry of Jesus is the least talked about. Is the fact that as he was going to the cross, oh my God, picture it. He was on his way to the cross. I know that he had not been crucified yet, but think about it. Not only had he been beaten, in fact, beaten is not the word. You're not going to get the right picture when you say they beat Jesus. You think about what they did to you in secondary school. He was scourged. The whips that they used against him had tiny dumbbells and had spikes, so that with every strike and every pull, some of his flesh came out with it. Isaiah prophesied about it. He says his visage was so mad they couldn't recognize him anymore. Pilate made them beat him more than they would beat a normal criminal, in hope that when they had beat him, they will be satisfied and not take him to the cross. It backfired. Jesus ended up suffering more punishment than a criminal. But think about this. Picture this. These are the things you speed read and you never thought about. As Jesus is going to the cross, I can say half dead, because historically many people didn't make it to the cross. They died there. And as he's going to the cross, you know those things that you read that you never paid attention to. He's talking to the women. Women, don't weep for me, weep for yourself. In that condition, you are thinking about others in that condition. Maybe that's not impressive enough. He's on the cross with 7-inch nails driven to his wrist, hoisted up there. And don't forget, he was beaten, and the wood of the cross is rough. Have you ever had a fresh wound that someone touched? Now imagine his entire back on the cross. And not just that, anatomically, when you're trying to breathe, there's a way it is explained that you have to help yourself up. So he had to help himself up, not minding the pain that it was going to cause on his back. Listen, I can go on and tell you the details. But right there on the cross, he was thinking about the welfare of his quote unquote biological mother. Woman, look at your son. Son, look at your mother. What? You, when you're in a bad mood, you say that's why you greeted me and I didn't answer. You expect people to understand I was in a bad mood now. Think about that. With all that pain, let me tell you something. Of course, you've heard me teach about it. When he said, my Lord, why have you forsaken me? He was actually quoting a psalm. You've heard me teach on that, right? But let me tell you, even if it is part of the plan, movie plots, that they say, okay, when you get to the cross, and then you are hanging on the cross, you will recite these lines. You still went through with the plan. You know, it's just like boxing. At the very basic elementary level, I know a thing or two about boxing because I've done a little bit of training. And when I began to research more on it, it was very funny. Because, especially as a beginner, when you are training, you know how to weave. You know combinations. Jab, hook, ha, ha. You know? When you're in the ring, it's a different thing, no? You know? Famous quotes. This is a real quote by Mike Tyson. He said, everybody has a plan until they punch him on the face. You will forget. You think it's a joke that a professional boxer forgot trainer and beat someone's ear? You think it's a joke? You have not seen frustration. Forget training, it's all biter for you. What? I hope you know what I'm saying happened. See, let me tell you. If a professional boxer can forget ethics and use teeth, it just tells you there is a level of training required in mastering peace. But the good news is, it's something you can learn. If the Bible tells you, let peace reign, it's because it is something you can learn. Amen, somebody. Amen. Even men of the senses, they learn to master peace. When astronauts were going to be sent to the moon, amongst all the trainings that they received, the technical know-how and all the repetitive rehearsals that they had, one of the trainings that they received back to back was handling stress. It was part of the program. Because people who respond in a spontaneous way, when there is trouble, they make mistakes. And there are some jobs that you have, you are not allowed to respond in a particular way. Are you listening to me? You must learn to move beyond just your normal triggered response as a professional. I know it's easier said than done, but you can learn. When a deer sees that someone is trying to come and get it, the normal triggered response, the thing that, the brain of the deer tells the deer, run. And so many times the deer will just run into the road, not considering that cars are coming. Have you seen any video like that? And you just see, as silly as that is, that's how many people live their lives. Just on impulse. You stand up and run. You don't even think. In Nigeria, you see it all the time in Nigeria. Go on the street and, in fact, don't even say anything. 5 of you just go and start running. Nobody will ask you anything. They will just start running and following you. Remember when the Ikeja cantonment trouble happened? Before the news came and told us officially what was wrong, how many versions of the story did you hear? What didn't we hear? Because nobody knew. Everybody just saw people running and started running. Please, are you listening to this? This is very important. I hope you know this is important. I want to play a video for you. I thought about it just as I was coming. Listen to the words of the person talking.
Sorry about the 2706. Yeah, we just lost our number 1 engine like to stop here. Niner and back to Grand Rapids.
Pause it. How many of you understand? How many of you understand what you just heard? He's flying a plane. They just lost an engine. And that's what he's talking about. So we just lost our number 1 engine. I know what you would have done. Hey, help me, help me, help me, help me. Hey, help me.